Break is over.
Does it hurt, baby?
Hey, what's going on, degenerates of the lesser internet? Welcome back to my living room and gaming channel, where I hope you will follow me on a journey of debauchery and madness as we discover gaming together. Real quick, just want to make a short, brief announcement. I've been kind of on a little hiatus. I still popped on last month or the beginning of this month, whichever way you want to cut it. Did what have you been playing video. I wanted to keep up with that. Other than that, I've been pretty much a no-show here on the channel, but I think that's coming to a close now. I had my break, and I'm ready to start up again. But I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try something new instead of just sitting down once a month and recording this big, huge 2-3 hour video. I'm going to try to just do things a little bit more off the cuff, not have tons of topics to talk about all in bulk, but kind of like a podcast style. I was doing that, shooting the shit, doing things that way. I would have a list of topics and stuff, but I think I'm going to do shorter videos, and by short, I mean I'm going to try to shoot for 10 to 20, 30 minutes max. 30 minutes max. You know how I like to ramble and go on and on and on. But I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to just do more frequent uploads. I'm going to shoot for maybe once a week. Nothing set in stone. But who knows? If there's something that catches my eye, something I really want to talk about right then and right there, I'll just do a quick little video about that. So, yeah, that's about it. So, I'm going to pop up this one, and then about a week from now, end of the month, beginning of the next month, I'm going to do my What Have You Been Playing video, and then we'll see. But I'm going to try to shoot for about once a week minimum. But anyway, let's talk about the title. I don't know what I named it. But I want to talk about the Microsoft Activision acquisition. It's been a while since we talked about it, and today is a big day in that ongoing saga. Today, right now, this morning, Microsoft and all the players are in the EU right now, having their day in court. And a lot of people are saying this is going to be probably the most important, biggest, definitive day in the acquisition's history, or not acquisition. This might shoot it dead in the water. Today is the day that they're going to decide in the EU what concessions are being made, if any at all. So, if you're not up to speed, Microsoft is an American company. They're trying to buy another American company. And they're bringing this to court, to the FTC. The FTC here in America shot this down. They challenged it, and Microsoft is taking this shit to court. And it is an American interest. And that should be it, but it's not. A lot of other countries, a lot of other places are weighing in. And while it's so complicated, it's so fucking complicated with politics. I've talked about the political side of this. I've mentioned how the FTC is crooked, how it's basically just an arm of the Biden administration when they should be nonpartisan, but it's not that way at all. What's most concerning here is the FTC and the American institutions. They're looking outward too much. You know, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but, I mean, America, its business, our economy, is way too invested in foreign entities. You know, they sell companies all the time to foreign entities. Foreign entities own a lot of our, and multinationalists own a lot of our institutions, And it's just kind of, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. But the moment an American company wants to make a purchase, then we have to strike everything down and take everything to court. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But the reality of the situation is all eyes are on what the courts and what's going on over at the EU right now. And this is the big court day, and it's happening right now as I speak. So this is going to probably, legally has nothing to do with anything. The most the EU could do is just say, okay, well, you know, we don't like that you made the purchase, and, you know, if they disagree and they make no concessions, the most the EU can do is just say, well, we don't approve of this, so we're going to ban, you know, Call of Duty sales in the EU because we don't like it. That's the most that they could do. Or the worst they could actually do is probably just like ban sales of Xbox in the EU because of this as retaliation. But I don't think they would even go that far. But who knows? Who knows, right? But long story short, that is not going to determine whether or not Microsoft can buy Activision. They have zero say when it comes to that. However, the sad reality is the FTC and other governing bodies are going to look to this. They're going to look to this, and they are going to mirror what they're gonna do and what they're gonna say. The FTC court case Microsoft has going on right now, they're going to say whatever the EU does. You know, if the EU says, okay, yeah, we can, we'll let this thing go through with a couple of concessions, that's fine, then the FTC is probably going to do the same thing. And that is what's very troubling to me. There's two things, well, there's a lot that's troubling to me, but there's two main facets that are very troubling to me about this whole thing. The first one, as I mentioned before, is the politics, the politicking. It's a dirty system. American politics is very dirty. If you know anything about me, I want nothing to do with, you know, far left politics, you know, CRT, political correctness, affirmative action, just this idea that if you're a certain class of people, you're inherently better or worse than the person next to you, and you need to either pay reparations constantly and apologize for being, you know, white or whatever, or, you know, on the other end of the spectrum, if you're black, you're just not naturally as smart or naturally as good as other people. You need old whitey to lift you up so you could do better. You poor blackie. Aww. Like the on both sides of the fence, it's very racist and gross, and I've never liked that. And they make our way, those politics have been making our way into our institutions, schools, and what have you, and this is one of the ways that it's happening. The Biden administration and these hard politics against bigger corporations, at least the ones that don't kick up, you know, properly to certain political organizations. Now, Microsoft and other companies have donated billions to Democratic candidates. And probably the biggest blowback we've seen is Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. He's basically Jeff Bezos light. And then he got into tons of fucking backlash from the government. They basically turned on him and said, nah, ain't good enough. Fuck you. You ain't nothing to us. Blew up in its face. Same thing with Microsoft right now. Shit's fucking hilarious. But it's, like I said, it has a lot to do with politics. And the whole thing is gross. And I've never been a fan of that. Covering this thing, I've watched Brad Sams, and I've watched Destin Legary, and I've watched other prominent Xbox podcasts and personalities and stuff all make their commentary on it. Not one of them has, because none of them are politicos like me. I consider myself a politico. What I mean by that is I pay attention to the news. I pay attention to politics. I know who's saying what and why they're saying it. I know who's lying. I tell you who's lying, and people get mad at me when I tell them who's lying. I say, no, they're fucking lying to you, and then they get mad at me. You know? So, there's a very, very large political slant to this. And I'm not just talking about, like, social politics. I'm not talking about, you know, social justice and, you know, right and left leaning bullshit on a pop culture level. You know, oh, they made everyone gay in the new game, and I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about real world fucking politics on the highest level. So I pay attention to all this shit, and this is one of the rare cases where the political world and my video game world are colliding. And so I'm like paying attention to this, and I'm like freaking out, and I see tons of shit one side doesn't see. I'll give an example. So like all the politics and stuff, none of these commentators have any idea what's going on. You know, I'll mention that down in the comments and stuff like that, and you know, Brad Sams bans me because he don't want to hear it. That's right, Brad Sams. Fucking the guy, the OG, who fucking leaked fucking the Xbox Series X, who leaked the Xbox One X. He fucking banned me. I've been a fan of his for like years, and he fucking banned me because I said something about how the Democrats own the chairman of the FTC is a majority Democrat, and they had a hostile takeover. He didn't like that. But no, that just goes to show, like, these gaming news groups and personalities and podcasts and YouTube channels and shit, they have no idea what's going on. They know half of what's going on, but they're all out of their depth. Now, I'm not a court guy. I'm not a legalese guy. I don't know much about the courts. That's my blind spot here. But my strength is I know what's going on political-wise, and none of y'all know what the fuck is going on with this shit. It's way deeper and way slimier and way grosser than you can imagine. And it sucks. It sucks for all of us. And another way that, like the politicos, there's a lot of things that they don't fucking understand because they don't cover and they don't pay attention or care about video games. They just see the politics side of this and how, you know, it's the Biden administration going after, you know, the big corporations and a new legislation. Like, that's the only side that they give a shit about. They don't know or care about the gaming side. They don't have any idea what's going on with, you know, the systems and who's selling what, how big Call of Duty is, the truth about subscription services. They know nothing of that. Nothing of that. So I'm just seeing everything from all sides here, and it's time. It's time to fucking talk about it a little bit. I have been. So this morning they're going to court over there. And the reason why it's so big is because whatever happens, if the EU says, you know what, Microsoft, we've heard your case, and we've heard the concerns of Sony and everyone else, in the end, I just don't think this is a good fit. We do not agree to this purchase. If that is the case, and no amount of Microsoft is willing to go, we've already seen their willingness to go all out with concessions. Putting Call of Duty day and date on the Nintendo Switch. That's the other thing that really concerns me too. There's two things that really concern me. As I said, the politics, specifically with the politics here, the specific thing that really grinds my gears is the United States looking outward to see what everyone else is doing. Just answer me this question, whether you're on the consumer side of things, or, you know, you're just parroting what your political arm tells you to say, or you're the FTC, or whatever the case may be. Just answer me this. Why, as an American governmental institution, why would you give a shit what China or Brazil, Australia, the EU, the UK, why would you give a fuck what these countries think about one of your American companies buying another American company for the industry and what that means. Why? It's none of their business. If they want to stop selling Xbox in the UK, if they're going to stop selling Call of Duty in the European Union, like whatever, okay? But why do they get a say? You know, they have a say when it comes to their country. They don't have a say of whether or not we get to buy whatever we want, you know? Meanwhile, Tencent gets to purchase any company they fucking want. That's really concerning to me. That's really fucking concerning to me that the US as a governing body just doesn't say, you know what, fuck it. Fuck you. Who gives a fuck? You do what you're gonna fucking do, but they are waiting to see what is done and what is said and what the decision is here, because they don't have the fortitude to step up and look into it and make the decisions themselves. Same thing with cases when it comes to the First Amendment, Second Amendment. The larger courts stay out of everything. Blatant violations of our amendment rights, they just stay out of everything. Oh, well, we don't want to get involved. We're just going to let the lower courts settle everything. And even a lower non-partisan, or what should be a non-partisan institution, government institution, is still sitting on their hands, waiting and looking to see what's going to happen with the EU before they proceed forward. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. That's really concerning. That's the first thing that's concerning. So this morning, Microsoft presented a letter, a binding, it wasn't just a verbal contract. We all know about Microsoft reaching out to Steam and Sony and Nintendo saying that they're going to put out a 10-year deal. They're going to put it out on all the platforms. And we got a different response from everyone. They reached out to Nintendo and said, look, we're putting in this in writing. We're going to do a 10-year deal with Nintendo to put Call of Duty on Nintendo if this acquisition goes through. Nintendo said, okay. They said that to Steam. And Gabe Newell. Is it Gabe Newell? Gabe Newell? Is it Gabe Newell? Or is it Gabe Newman? Forget. I forget. Gaben. Gaben said, nah, we reject your deal, but not out of spite. We have full confidence that Microsoft will continue to put their games, including Call of Duty, on our platform because it makes sense. We have trust there. We don't need anything in writing saying that they're going to continue to put their game on our platform for 10 years. We trust them. Homies. That was cool. That was fucking cool. But Gaben has always been a Microsoft fanboy. Whatever. That's a different topic for another time. But that's happened. And then with Sony just rejected the deal. They're like, no. So, you know, they made that offer. We all know that. We all know about that. But this morning, they have a binding legal agreement with Nintendo. And they presented it this morning saying that not only are a 10-year commitment to put Call of Duty on Nintendo systems, the Switch and what have you, but it's going to come out day and date on the same day as it does on Xbox. Meaning when the next Call of Duty comes out on Xbox, post-acquisition, day and date, it's coming out on the Switch too. This is my second concern. That's really, really good for Nintendo. Is that good for Microsoft, though? I understand that they got to do what they got to do to get this deal to go through. But as a person who plays Call of Duty, a person who's played it this morning, a person who bought the Season 2 pass, and I'm rank 5 already, and I'm doing it. Like, I'm doing it, right? As a person who's playing, Activision and Call of Duty, they are at their limit. They are at their limit. This is the first year in 20 years or 15 years or something like that that we are not seeing a new Call of Duty game. Now, there are rumors that we are going to see something, but the rumors right now are pointing to that something not being a new Call of Duty game. It's going to be a reboot of the existing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 2022. It's going to be basically an expansion pass. There's going to be a sequel to the campaign and some other shit, but it's not going to be a real next game. They're probably going to just repackage and resell it with a bunch of shit. I don't know. I don't really know, but we're not going to get a true new game. So it's all hands on deck over there. It's not just Activision. I mean, not Activision. Infinity Ward. It is not just Infinity Ward working on this. It's literally all the studios. Blizzard is working on this. Raven Studio, High Moon Studio. But all of them are Call of Duty studios. They're working around the clock. It's been this way for years now. It used to be Activision was making a Call of Duty game on a 3-year cycle. I keep saying Activision instead of Infinity Ward. Of course it's Activision. That's the publisher. Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer Games, and Treyarch. 3 different companies making their own Call of Duty game on a 3-year cycle. It used to be a 2-year cycle between Infinity Ward and Treyarch, and then with the addition of Sledgehammer Games, it's, you know, each game gets its own 3-year cycle. But that was kind of over and done with. We saw our first game that was supposed to be from this 3-year cycle with Sledgehammer not too long ago. Now that's all out the window. They're not getting enough time. We hear talk of, you know, the cost of gaming is just raised. Games are taking longer to make. Just the 3 studios on a 3-year cycle ain't enough. You can't make a game with this much polish in just 3 years. Even if you have all the assets lined up and ready to go from years of, you know, regurgitating and recycling content. You can't do that. It takes more manpower than that if you're going to get it out faster than 3 years. And that is why all the studios are working on this shit. Meanwhile, they can't do anything else. It is a huge machine that you cannot fucking stop or the whole thing will crumble. And that's why we're not getting another Call of Duty this year. And now they're all supposed to make a working Switch port? Not coming out later, but day and date with the Xbox version? Who's gonna make that? Who's gonna do that? Is that better for Microsoft? They're essentially gonna have to buy a new company to handle this. The Call of Duty teams at Activision are so stressed and so, you know, I will be the first guy to laugh instead of shed a tear when it comes to developers. Oh, the poor developer can't meet his deadline. Oh, I'm just gonna say it. I'm not pro dev. I'm not. They nickel and dime us, and we've seen firsthand when a shitty publisher relinquishes control of the developer and the developer goes independent, they still make the shitty monetization practices that we all hate. And they're lazy, and they don't fucking listen to us. I am not pro dev. I'm not. That being said, the Call of Duty devs, everyone over there at Activision, are so fucking strained. As someone who kind of behind the scenes who pays attention to Call of Duty, it is a massive, massive machine. A massive machine. It is unbelievable. There's literally nothing like it in the industry. The closest thing that we have to it was the recent Assassin's Creeds, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. All of Ubisoft's teams, they had like 7 teams working on it from around the globe, all at the same time. I think like the first couple Assassin's Creed games were made from like Ubisoft Montreal, and there was another one over in Europe. But for the most part, those monstrosities are made by like 7-8 teams. Just pretty much the entire company stopped what they were doing to make the newer. That's why we haven't been seeing anything from Ubisoft. There's like little smaller projects here and there, but like even like the Division team, half of their team went over and was working on Assassin's Creed, and it's crazy. It's crazy. That's nothing. That is nothing in comparison to the teams and the people working on modern Call of Duty, the past couple of titles. They basically sacrificed the year before last Call of Duty, Vanguard. I didn't even play that one. It had cut content, it had poor visuals, it was Frankenstein together, it has problems unlike other Call of Duty games. Just player retention sucked, it didn't sell very well compared to other Call of Duty games. That's an important stipulation. But they basically just said, yeah, fucking just rush this game out. Everyone needs to work on Modern Warfare 2. It's a massive, massive machine. And whether Microsoft buys Activision or not, you can't just say, okay, well, make a Switch port. They're familiar with the Xbox and PlayStation architectures. They're familiar with PC. And now just make a working Switch port. What's that gonna look like? Who's gonna do that? How much more manpower? How are you gonna get the manpower? Are you just gonna get contract workers to do it? Are you gonna buy a new studio to handle it? Are we going to see? Are we just gonna get a Call of Duty game every other year from now on? Like, how? Are we gonna pull everyone off of Blizzard now too, and everyone else? Like, is Activision just going to make Call of Duty and that's it? How is the next game going to suffer because of this? Like, what does that mean? I think that's more detrimental than anything else. As a Call of Duty player, as a gamer. You can't just say, oh, well, we're going to put it on Switch now. You think Activision doesn't want to put Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch and sell 10, 15, 20 million more copies every year? You think they don't want to do that? There's a reason why they don't. I don't know, man. That's going to be crazy. That's not necessarily something I want. Just so, you know, a couple of people on the Switch that don't own anything else. I have my Switch. I have my Switch fucking over there. I love my Switch. I play it. I got a whole bunch of fucking games I want to play. I still haven't gotten to fucking the new Kirby game. I don't want to play Call of Duty. Who owns just a Switch and nothing else? Oh, I gotta get Call of Duty for my Switch. Who is this for? The answer is it's for a lot of people. But, yeah, I'm going to try to get this video out early before, you know, shit goes down. But that's what's going down right now. They're making their case. All the movers and shakers are over there right now in the EU. Phil Spencer is there. Brad Smith is there. I don't know if, what's his name? The head of Microsoft. The fucking Indian... I forget his name. He's over there. Well, actually, I don't know if he's over there. He should be. Sony's over there. Jim Ryan. The guys at Nvidia are over there. That's another thing, too, I want to talk about. Microsoft is partners with Nvidia. And there's probably going to be a lot of blowback, because Nvidia is there not representing Microsoft, but they're against it. And there's something I wanted to clear the air about too. So Nvidia is over there speaking out against this acquisition. And a lot of people, like Brad Sams, I mentioned before, are like, huh, this is very awkward. What's that going to mean going forward? I can't imagine, you know, Microsoft is going to want to continue partnership with Nvidia. Because, you know, Nvidia is kind of biting themselves on the ass. That makes things kind of awkward for them. And it's like, do you forget that this situation is biting Microsoft in the... This isn't going to bite Nvidia in the ass. This is an ass bite from Nvidia because Microsoft dicked them. Do you forget about that? Microsoft blocked all of the games on the Nvidia GeForce streaming service. I wonder why. You know, there's so much backstabbery going on. It all comes back to we may very well see this. I already know what Nvidia is going to say. I already know what they're going to say. It's like, well, yeah, Microsoft blocked their fucking games on our streaming service. because they were coming out with Game Pass. They said they're for everyone, play everywhere. Okay, well, you can't stream your fucking Microsoft games you already purchased on our NVIDIA GeForce Now, and Microsoft blocked that shit. You know, they're not, you know. Which is true, they did do that. And now that's coming back to bite fucking Microsoft right now. That's not puff, that's not fluff and bullshit that Jim Ryan's spewing. That's a real fucking thing. Microsoft did that shit. No one ever talks about that. Even the fucking people who hate Microsoft and hate Xbox, they don't talk about that. They never fucking bring that up because they're dumb. It reminds me of Donald Trump, right? I like Donald Trump. I voted for him, right? I can probably name more shit about him I don't fucking like than anyone who didn't vote for him and anyone who says that they hate him. I could name more shit about him that I don't fucking like than you can, because I pay attention and I know what's going on. All these people that don't want to see this acquisition go through because they hate Xbox or they don't like Microsoft or whatever the case may be, I never hear them bring up, yeah, Microsoft shafted NVIDIA for the GeForce Now thing. They don't believe in what they say when it comes to putting everything on all platforms and bringing games to gamers. Why don't you bring that up? I'm pro-acquisition here in this case. But that is something that happened, and no one ever brings it up. It's so fucking weird. Not even Brad Sams. It's so fucking weird. But, yeah. This video is getting a little long in the tooth. I'm going to kind of taper off here. I want to have this be somewhat a shorter video. Obviously, I had a lot to say. I still have a lot to say, but I just want to kind of air my grievances. Fucking grievances stink, man. I've been farting this whole goddamn time. I had ice cream last night. I shouldn't have had it. Old diabetes. Shouldn't have had the ice cream, and now I'm paying for it. I haven't had ice cream in like fucking 6 months. And then I just had it. Oh, that was a bad idea. I'm out here airing my grievances and shit. I wanted to talk about it. Just kind of set the record straight. Talk about a couple things, a couple of angles. This shit is very political. There's a lot of backstabbing going on. There's a lot of angles people aren't mentioning and people aren't covering. And there's a lot of repercussions. Call of Duty as a Call of Duty gamer, Call of Duty on the Switch magically now, if this goes through, is not going to be a good thing for me. It's not. The next big Call of Duty we get, that's also on the Switch, it's going to be a gimped-ass version. It's going to be rushed. It's not going to be good. I don't have much confidence in it. I really don't. So as a Call of Duty gamer, this isn't good news for me. And how far is Microsoft willing to go with all these concessions? They just have to... How much more money is going to have to be spent on port studios and stuff? This is going to be crazy. Call of Duty is already the biggest thing in gaming. If this acquisition does go through, they're going to ruin Call of Duty, or they're going to elevate it to even greater... There is no middle ground. Call of Duty cannot stay... If this acquisition goes through, Call of Duty cannot stay where it is. It will get destroyed by just bloat, too much money sink. There's going to be too many studios doing too many things, too much money going into this machine, poor ports. This is going to kill Call of Duty. It is. Not tomorrow, but over time. Let's say in the next 10 years. By the time this 10-year deal, it might go the way of Halo. People just don't give a fuck about Halo anymore. There was a time that it was the #1 FPS game in gaming, period. The #1 game on Xbox. Now people don't give a fuck. If the next Halo was announced tomorrow, people are more excited for Fable. People are more excited for Gears of War 6. People are more excited for Forza. No one gives a fuck about Halo anymore. That's what's... Call of Duty might exist, but that's what it's going to be. Either that or and this plays right into the hand of the EU and all the regulatory bodies that are against this acquisition, it might elevate it even more. If you inject Microsoft money into the machine, like if it's just literally an investment, if Phil Spencer can convince the head of Microsoft to just say, look, now we can inject more money into this machine and reap the rewards. It could elevate Call of Duty to something even greater. Have it in more countries. Have a better, more stable build of the game. Just put more manpower on it than ever. Although that obviously doesn't work, as we've seen with Halo Infinite. But man, it's gonna get crazy. So we will see. We will see what happens. We'll see what kind of concessions they're willing to make. But I gotta be honest, if Microsoft is throwing everything in the kitchen sink and saying, we are willing to do anything, we'll put this on the Switch. We will promise and have a legally binding agreement that we're not ever going to fucking put this on Game Pass and blah, 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 blah. And they're still like, nah, bruh, nah. Nah. I don't know. Although, in terms of NVIDIA, they should reverse that. They should be like, okay, we'll allow our Microsoft games to be playable on your NVIDIA GeForce Now service. They should have done that before. I don't know why they didn't. I don't know. Maybe that's just one of the concessions. It'll be very, very interesting. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a couple things no one gives a fuck about. Like, oh, you know, Microsoft signed an agreement that says they're not going to throttle the... It's like, yeah, we know. They weren't ever going to do that. They weren't ever going to take it away from PlayStation. But you never know. I am interested to see the wild, off-the-wall announcements, though, that they're going to be forced to make. Like, I don't know. I'm willing to bet Starfield on the PlayStation is one of them. Starfield on the PlayStation 5 is one of them. I bet you. Fucking bet you. At least it'll be talked about, right? If they say that, they're like, hey, put Starfield on here. Is there any sort of quid pro quo or any Nintendo or PlayStation games? That's what I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked just all this to be done behind closed doors between the publishers themselves without the courts being involved whatsoever. You know, hey, we'll continue to put Call of Duty on your... Do you remember those days? We'll continue to put Call of Duty on your platform if, give us Spider-Man. Like, that would have been fucking cool. Right? But no, we don't get that. It's going to be a one-way street, and it's just a matter of how much is Microsoft willing to open them butt cheeks. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a big day. We will see. Next time I talk about this, a lot of my questions have been answered. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I got shit to do. Drinks to drink, bitches to fuck, games to play, you know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for listening to me, bitch. Keep on gaming, everyone. And don't ever fucking stop.